The room was too cold. Daniel Wright pulled his blue jacket closer as he sat at the large crystal table. Across from him, 6 aliens called Zordaxians watched him with their strange amber eyes. None of them blinked. Their skin was gray with small scales that caught the light from above. For 3 days, they had talked in this space station that floated between Earth and Mars. For 3 days, the talks got worse, not better. Daniel looked down at the paper in front of him. The Zordaxians wanted too much. They wanted the rights to mine on planets where humans already worked. They said these planets were in their space, even though humans had been there first. No, Daniel said, standing up slowly. His legs felt stiff. Earth cannot agree to this. We will not give up our mining rights just because you say we should. The main Zordaxian, called Fixel, made a loud clicking noise. The sound made Daniel's skin crawl. Even without the translator, everyone knew this sound meant the alien was angry. If humans cannot be reasonable, then humans are not ready to join the bigger galaxy, Fixel said. The alien's voice sounded like rocks in a blender. You may go now. We will remember how stubborn you are. Samantha Martinez, a tough woman with short gray hair who led Earth's Space Navy, put her hand on Daniel's arm. She had not said much during the 3 days, but now she gave him a look that said, "Let's go." Daniel nodded. He gathered his papers while 4 other humans from his team stood up too. They all walked to the door in silence. "This is not the end," Daniel said quietly to Samantha as they walked. "They need our help as much as we need theirs." "I'm not so sure," Samantha answered. Her face was serious. "Did you see how they looked at us? Like we are bugs, not partners." The door closed behind them with a soft hiss. The hallway ahead curved gently, leading to their ship. Light panels in the floor showed them the way. None of the humans noticed the small drone that followed them, recording everything. None of them saw how Fixel touched a hidden button under the table as soon as they left. None of them knew that in Zordaxian culture, walking away from talks was the worst insult possible. None of them realized that by simply leaving the room, they had just started something terrible. On their ship home, Daniel looked out at the stars. "They'll cool down and call us back," he told his team. "These things take time." But later that night, as their ship moved closer to Earth, all the Zordaxian ships around Mars suddenly turned off their lights and disappeared from radar. "Where did they go?" asked one of the radar workers. Samantha Martinez felt a cold feeling in her stomach. "Somewhere we won't like," she said. Back on the station, Fixel was already sending orders to the Zordaxian war fleet hidden behind Jupiter. "The humans have made their choice," the message said. "Begin the first phase." The humans had left the table. And now, quietly, the war began. Olivia Reeves yawned as she watched the screens in the Earth Command Center. It was 3 a.m., and nothing exciting ever happened during night shift. She sipped her coffee and checked the daily reports from all human bases in the solar system. Something was wrong. She checked again. Europa Station had sent no message in 6 hours. The small base on Jupiter's icy moon always sent updates every hour. "Hey, Joe," she called to her supervisor. "Europa's quiet. Nothing since 9 p.m. Joe walked over, frowning. "Try the emergency channel." Olivia pressed the red button. "Europa Station. This is Earth Command. Please respond." She waited. Nothing but static. "Europa Station. Please respond. This is an emergency call." Only silence answered. Within 20 minutes, Commander George Blackwell rushed into the room. His gray hair was messy, and he still buttoned his uniform jacket. "What's happening?" "Sir, Europa Station isn't answering any calls," Olivia said. Her hands shook slightly. 200 people lived on that base. "Send the patrol ship near Ganymede to check," George ordered. 4 hours later, the patrol ship reached Europa. The captain's face appeared on the big screen. He looked pale. "Commander, there's nothing here." "What do you mean?" George asked. "I mean Europa Station is gone. Not damaged. Gone. There's just a big hole in the ice where it used to be. The room went silent. Olivia felt her heart beating too fast. The patrol ship sent pictures. Where the station once stood, only a smoking crater remained. The ice around it had melted and refrozen in strange patterns. What could do that? Joe whispered. A young analyst raised her hand. Sir, we found these energy readings. She showed them on a screen. They matched the Zordaxian ships we saw 3 weeks ago. George's face hardened. Get Admiral Martinez now. Within an hour, more reports came in. Strange ships near Mars. Unusual signals near Saturn's rings. A mining ship gone missing near Mercury. Admiral Samantha Martinez walked into the command center with quick steps. She wore a stern expression that made everyone sit straighter. Tell me everything, she said to George. After he explained, she stood silently for a long moment, looking at the maps of the solar system on the big screen. They're attacking all at once, she finally said. Europa was just the first. This isn't random. This is planned. But why? Olivia asked. Just because we didn't agree to their mining terms. No, Samantha said. Look at these attack points. She pointed to the map. These are all our major outposts, all our weak spots, all places we can't defend quickly. She took a deep breath. They'd been planning this for months, maybe years. They knew where to hit us even before they met with us. You mean the negotiations were fake? George asked. I think they were just buying time, Samantha replied, or maybe giving us one last chance to surrender before they attacked. The emergency alarm suddenly blared through the room. A red light flashed on the map. Mars colony is under attack, Olivia shouted. They're reporting 5 large ships. On the screens, they watched helplessly as bright flashes appeared around the red planet. The Mars colony signals began to fade. Get me the president, Samantha said quietly. We are at war. They're coming again. Major Patricia Vega shouted as the walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling of the Mars colony bunker. Colonel Frank Allen looked at the small screen on his wrist. 6 red dots moved closer to their position. 6 Zordaxian ships against their last 7 fighters. How many people still need to get to the escape ships? He asked. About 50, Patricia answered. Her face was dirty and had a cut above her eye. They need 10 more minutes. Frank nodded. Then we'll give them 10 minutes. 6 months had passed since the first attack. 6 months of humans losing again and again. The Zordaxians had better ships, better weapons, and the ability to travel faster than light. Human forces could barely slow them down. Frank led his small team outside. The red sands of Mars blew around them as they ran to their fighters. These were old ships, not meant for real battle. But they were all that was left. Remember, Frank said through the radio as they took off, we don't need to beat them. We just need to keep them busy while our people escape. The 7 human fighters rose into the thin Martian air. The sky above was beautiful, with stars shining clearly. Then 6 bigger shapes appeared, blocking the stars. The Zordaxian ships were each 5 times larger than the human fighters. Spread out, Frank ordered. Make them chase us. The battle was quick and one-sided. 3 human fighters were destroyed in the first 2 minutes, but Frank had a plan. While the Zordaxians were busy with the fighters, other humans on the ground turned on a special weapon. When Frank's ship was hit and began to fall, he smiled. He had kept the aliens busy long enough. Now, he shouted into his radio. Patricia, still in the bunker, pressed the button. A huge pulse of energy shot up from the ground. It wasn't meant to destroy the Zordaxian ships. It was meant to hurt their electronics. 2 of the 6 enemy ships suddenly stopped moving. They floated dead in space. It wasn't a victory. Mars colony still fell 3 days later. But those 2 damaged ships gave Earth valuable information about Zordaxian technology. Back on Earth, in a deep underground lab, Dr. Cynthia Porter studied the data from Mars. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Her eyes were red, and her hand shook as she drank her 5th cup of coffee. "Look at this," she said to her team, pointing at strange patterns on her screen. "Their shields don't work like ours. They use quantum fields." "What does that mean?" asked one young scientist. Cynthia smiled for the first time in weeks. "It means they have a weakness. Every quantum field has a specific frequency. If we can find that frequency, we can break through their shields," finished another scientist. "Exactly," Cynthia said. "We need to build a weapon that creates the right frequency, like how a singer can break a glass by hitting the perfect note." In another part of the world, a factory that once made cars now made parts for space fighters. In a shipyard that once built cruise ships, workers now built war vessels. All around Earth, humans worked day and night. Yes, the Zordaxians were winning. Yes, they had better technology and more ships. But they had made one big mistake. They had not killed all humans in their first attack. They had left survivors who could learn, adapt, and fight back. In a meeting room in Geneva, Admiral Samantha Martinez looked at the first prototype of Dr. Porter's new weapon. It was small, not impressive to look at. "Will it work?" she asked. "Only one way to find out," Cynthia replied. "We need to test it on a real Zordaxian ship." Samantha nodded. "Then let's go hunting." Captain Ryan Garcia looked out the window of his new ship, the Defiance. It was the first ship made with the new technology. It wasn't as big or fancy as the Zordaxian ships, but it had something special: Dr. Porter's quantum disruptor. "Are you nervous?" his friend and pilot, Kendra Johnson, asked as she checked the controls. "A little," Ryan admitted. "This is our first real attack since the war began. If it doesn't work, it will work," Kendra said firmly. She pointed to a small metal box attached to the ship's weapons system. "That little thing is going to change everything." The Defiance and 6 other ships like it flew quietly toward Callisto, one of Jupiter's moons. The Zordaxians had built a base there after taking Mars. They thought they were safe. They were wrong. "All ships, stay in formation," Ryan said into his radio. "Remember, we only get one chance to surprise them." The Zordaxian base came into view. It was big and shaped like a star, with 5 points sticking out from the center. Ships moved around it like bees around a hive. "They've seen us," Kendra said as red lights began to flash on the enemy base. "Good," Ryan replied. "Let them come to us." 3 large Zordaxian ships moved toward the human fleet. Ryan could almost feel their confidence. After all, they had won every battle so far. Why would this one be different? "Wait for my signal," Ryan told his fleet. "Let them get closer." The enemy ships fired first. Bright red beams shot toward the human ships. But the Defiance and its sister ships were faster than anything humans had used before. They dodged the attacks easily. "Now," Ryan ordered when the Zordaxian ships were close enough. Every human ship fired their quantum disruptors at the same time. There was no big explosion, no flash of light. For a moment, it seemed like nothing had happened. Then the shields around the Zordaxian ships flickered and disappeared. "Their shields are down," Kendra shouted. It worked. "All ships, attack now," Ryan commanded. Without their shields, the Zordaxian ships were vulnerable. The human fleet fired their regular weapons, and for the first time, those weapons actually hit the enemy ships. The battle lasted less than an hour. The human fleet destroyed all 3 Zordaxian ships and then attacked the base on Callisto. By the time it was over, the entire Zordaxian force was gone, and not a single human ship was lost. As the Defiance turned back toward Earth, Ryan sent a simple message: "Mission successful. The quantum disruptor works." The news spread across Earth like wildfire. For the first time since the war began, people felt hope. In homes and schools and factories, humans celebrated. But the work was just beginning. In his lab under the Rocky Mountains, Ethan Maxwell studied pieces of the destroyed Zordaxian ships that had been collected after the battle. "Look at this," he said to his team, holding up a strange silver device. "This is part of their faster-than-light drive." "Can we make it work?" asked his assistant. Ethan smiled. "We can do better. We can improve it." For weeks, Ethan and his team worked day and night. They took apart the Zordaxian technology, learned how it worked, and then made it better. "The Zordaxians think they're fighting a primitive species," Ethan told his tired but excited team as they successfully tested their first faster-than-light engine. "But they don't understand something important about humans." "What's that?" his assistant asked. "We learn fast," Ethan said. "And we're really good at turning other people's weapons against them." Admiral Samantha Martinez watched as workers installed the new engines in 20 more ships like the Defiance. Soon, humans would be able to travel beyond their solar system. Soon, they would take the fight to the Zordaxians' home. "How long until we're ready?" she asked the shipyard manager. 2 weeks, he replied. Samantha nodded. "Good. It's time we showed them what humans can really do." The huge ship Intrepid hummed with power as it prepared for its first jump beyond the solar system. Fleet Commander Victoria Huang stood on the bridge, her hands clasped behind her back. She wore a new uniform with silver stripes on the shoulders. 1 year had passed since the war began. "All systems ready," Commander reported her second-in-command, Lieutenant Ben Foster. "The fleet is in position." Victoria nodded. Behind the Intrepid, 50 other ships waited. Some were big like the Intrepid, built for battle. Others were smaller and faster, made for scouting. All had the new faster-than-light engines copied from Zordaxian technology. "This is Fleet Commander Huang," she said, her voice carrying to all 50 ships. "Today we take the fight to the enemy. Today we show them that humans are not easy to beat." Victoria looked at the main screen. Their target was the Proxima Centauri system, the closest star to Earth beyond the Sun. Intelligence reports showed that the Zordaxians had built a large base there to plan their attacks on Earth. "Prepare for FTL jump," she ordered. The stars on the screen began to stretch into lines. The ship shook slightly. Then there was a flash of light, and suddenly new stars appeared on the screen. "Jump successful," Ben reported. "All ships accounted for. We're in the Proxima Centauri system." "Any sign of Zordaxian ships?" Victoria asked. Before Ben could answer, alarms blared. "Multiple contacts," he shouted. 20. No, 30 Zordaxian vessels approaching. Victoria smiled. This wasn't a surprise. They had expected a fight. "Deploy the fleet. Battle Formation Delta." The human ships spread out. The Zordaxians approached in a tight group, confident in their superior numbers. But they didn't know about the new human weapons. "Fire quantum disruptors," Victoria ordered. Bright blue beams shot from the human ships. Like in the battle at Callisto, the Zordaxian shields flickered and died. "Their shields are down," Ben said. "They're vulnerable." "All ships, attack," Victoria commanded. What followed was the biggest space battle humans had ever fought. The Zordaxians had more ships, but without their shields, they were no longer invincible. Human vessels darted between the larger alien ships, firing at their weak points. 8 human ships were destroyed. 12 more were damaged. But the Zordaxians lost 25 ships, and the rest retreated. "They're running," Ben said in disbelief. "We won." "Not yet," Victoria replied. "Target their base on the 4th planet." The human fleet surrounded the Zordaxian base. Without ships to protect it, the base was defenseless. It surrendered after just 10 minutes of fighting. For the first time, humans had captured live Zordaxians and intact alien ships. The prisoners were brought aboard the Intrepid. "Why do you fight so hard?" one Zordaxian officer asked Victoria through a translator. "No species has ever kept fighting after losing their outer colonies. That's the difference between us," Victoria replied. "You fight until it becomes difficult. We fight until it's over." Intelligence officer Alan Kruz spent days talking to the Zordaxian prisoners. What he learned changed everything. The Zordaxian Empire isn't as strong as they want us to think, he told Victoria and the other commanders. They're fighting at least 3 other wars across this part of the galaxy. Other species are fighting them too. Victoria asked. Elan nodded. Yes, and that's not all. The Zordaxian military is stretched thin. They expected us to surrender quickly. They didn't plan for a long war. Victoria looked at the star map on the wall. For the first time, it showed more than just Earth's solar system. It showed hundreds of stars, many with Zordaxian bases or supply lines. If we hit their supply lines here, and here, she said, pointing to different spots on the map, we can cut off their forces in our system. It's risky, Ben said. We'd have to split our fleet. Victoria smiled. Yes, but the Zordaxians would have to split their forces too. And unlike them, we're used to being outnumbered. As the human fleet prepared for their next attack, a message was sent back to Earth. First mission beyond solar system successful. Preparing to expand operations. The tide is turning. Lisa Delgado couldn't sleep. Tomorrow would be the most important day of her life. As Earth's new ambassador, she would meet aliens that no human had ever seen before. 2 years had passed since the war began. Humans had won some battles and lost others. But now something strange had happened. A message had arrived from a species called the Nelvari. They wanted to talk. Lisa looked out the window of her small room on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Earth had built a secret base here after losing Mars. Outside her window, the orange clouds of Titan glowed faintly. What if I say the wrong thing? She whispered to herself. What if they're just like the Zordaxians? The next morning, Lisa's small ship flew to the meeting place, an abandoned mining station in the distant Kuiper Belt. Her heart beat fast as she waited in the station's main room. The air was cold, and her breath made small clouds. Suddenly, the door on the other side of the room opened. 3 tall, strange beings entered. Their skin seemed almost see-through, and Lisa could see light passing through their bodies. They had 4 arms, each and large, dark eyes. I am Ithvin, said the tallest one. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. We are the Nelvari. Thank you for meeting us. Lisa bowed slightly. I am Lisa Delgado of Earth. We are honored by your visit. The Nelvari moved closer. They didn't seem threatening, but Lisa still felt nervous. These were the first aliens she had met besides Zordaxians. We have been watching your war with the Zordaxians, Ithvin said. You fight differently than other species. How so? Lisa asked. When the Zordaxians attack, most species surrender quickly. They give up. But humans, Ithvin's body glowed slightly brighter. Humans keep fighting even when they should lose. You had every reason to surrender, yet you chose to fight against impossible odds. Lisa smiled a little. We're stubborn that way. Stubborn, Ithvin repeated, as if testing the word. Yes, this is good. The Zordaxians do not understand stubborn. That is why they cannot defeat you completely. Have the Zordaxians attacked your people too? Lisa asked. All 3 Nelvari glowed brighter for a moment, their version of nodding. Many times. For many years. They take our worlds, our resources, just as they try to take yours. Then we have something in common, Lisa said. More than that, Ithvin replied. We have a common enemy. And we are not the only ones. Ithvin touched a device on its arm. A 3-dimensional map appeared in the air between them. It showed hundreds of stars, with different colors marking different territories. The blue areas are Zordaxian-controlled space, Ithvin explained. The green are free worlds. The red shows species currently fighting the Zordaxians. Lisa was amazed. The map showed at least 7 different red areas besides Earth. All these species are fighting the Zordaxians right now, she asked. Yes, but separately. Alone. That is why the Zordaxians win. Ithvin's voice grew more serious. But what if we fought together? Lisa's heart beat faster again, but this time from excitement, not fear. An alliance? Yes. The Zordaxians are strong because they attack one species at a time. But if we join our forces, share our technology, coordinate our attacks, we could defeat them. Lisa finished. In the weeks that followed, Lisa met with representatives from 6 other species. All had suffered under Zordaxian attacks. All wanted freedom. And all were impressed by how humans had managed to fight back. The Nelvari brought advanced stealth technology. The Crixians offered powerful energy weapons. The Tall shared their exceptional medical knowledge. A coalition formed, a united front against the Zordaxian Empire, and at its center stood humanity, the stubborn species that refused to surrender. On the bridge of the warship Defender, Captain William Carter looked at his new crew. Humans worked alongside Nelvari, Crixians, and others, preparing for a joint attack on the Zordaxian homeworld's outer moon. It's ironic, he said to his Nelvari second-in-command. All the Zordaxians had to do was offer a fair mining deal. Instead, they created something they never expected. What is that? The Nelvari asked. William smiled. A galaxy that finally stands together against them. The space station looked the same long hallways, the same soft lights in the floor, the same large room with the crystal table. It was hard to believe that 3 years, 7 months, and 14 days had passed since Daniel Wright had last walked these halls. But much had changed. Daniel was no longer just Earth's ambassador. Now he represented the United Interstellar Coalition, an alliance of 12 different species all fighting against the Zordaxian Empire. Ready? Admiral Samantha Martinez asked as they stood outside the meeting room. She had a new scar across her cheek, a reminder of the Battle of Europa Prime. As ready as I'll ever be, Daniel replied. He straightened his formal uniform and touched the coalition pin on his chest. The doors opened. Inside, 6 Zordaxians waited at the table. But Thixel, who had shown such contempt for humans during the first meeting, was not among them. Many said he had died in the battle for his homeworld's outer moon. The new Lid Zordaxian negotiator looked tired. His gray-scaled skin seemed duller, his amber eyes less bright. Daniel and Samantha entered the room, followed by representatives from 11 other species. The Nelvari, with their translucent bodies. The 4-armed Crixians. The tall, plant-like tall. And many others, all once victims of Zordaxian aggression, now united and strong. The Zordaxians shifted uncomfortably as the coalition members took their seats around the table. The United Interstellar Coalition welcomes the representatives of the Zordaxian Empire, Daniel said formally. We are here to discuss terms for peace. Terms, the lead Zordaxian repeated. The translator couldn't quite capture the mix of anger and defeat in his voice. Daniel slid a data tablet across the table. These are our non-negotiable conditions. First, the Zordaxian Empire must withdraw from all territories it has taken by force. Second, it must pay reparations to all affected worlds. Third, it must accept oversight by the Coalition for 50 standard years. The Zordaxian read the terms silently. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the station's life support systems. This is unprecedented, the Zordaxian finally said. The Zordaxian Empire has never accepted such terms in its 5,000-year history. Samantha leaned forward. There's a human saying, she said quietly. There's a first time for everything. The Zordaxian looked at her, then at the coalition representatives, then back at Daniel. For a long moment, no one spoke. Very well, the Zordaxian said at last. We accept these terms. One by one, representatives from all sides pressed their hands or appendages to the agreement. With each touch, the crystal table glowed briefly. When it was done, Daniel stood up. He looked around the room one last time, remembering how it had all started in this very place. Outside the station, a fleet of coalition ships kept watch. Further away, what remained of the once mighty Zordaxian armada waited silently. It doesn't feel real, Daniel said as he and Samantha walked back to their ship. The war is over, Samantha replied. But the hard work is just beginning. Rebuilding will take years. Daniel nodded. The war had cost humanity dearly. Millions of lives lost. Colonies destroyed. Years of progress set back. But humanity had gained something too. A place among the stars. New allies. New technologies. A new understanding of their own strength. In the ship's observation room, Daniel looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, still standing despite everything. Humans had survived the Zordaxian attack, not just because they were stubborn or clever, but because they had refused to give up hope. What will you do now? Samantha asked, joining him at the window. Go home, Daniel said. See my family, then help build something new. A new coalition. A new future, Daniel corrected her. One where species help each other instead of fighting. As their ship turned toward Earth, Daniel thought about how strange it all was. The war that began when humans left the table had ended with humanity finding its true place in the galaxy, not as conquerors like the Zordaxians, not as victims, but as builders of peace.